computer. Okay. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to read John Wheeler, and the book we're reading is called Right Here, Right Now. So let me start, and then we'll talk about what we read and what we heard. So I'm going to change my glasses. Okay. So the questioner says to him, things are unfolding nicely here. And John says, what is knowing that? In what is it all unfolding? Come back to that. Unfolding is in time. Reality is ever present and timeless. Hone in on the core of timeless presence awareness. Everything else comes and goes. This does not. The questioner, well, it's relatively effortless. John, awareness is 100% natural and effortless. When, in your experience, is it not shining? The fact of being present and aware is totally effortless. That is what you are, and it is already present. We overlooked it because we were looking for something exotic, but it has been right here all along. Questioner, I recall reading about the mind dropping into an open state. Right now, the mind is very active, and it seems as though it still believes it's running the show. John, you are still giving a bit of emphasis to the mind. The answer is not there. Let it be as it will. Are you controlling it? Do you have any power over it? No, so let it go. The golden great gate of freedom lies in another direction. That in you, which is present and aware, is always free of the mind, just like the sun shining above clouds. The sun never worries about clouds. Awareness is never bothered by thoughts. It is only interest in thoughts that binds us to them. There is no freedom or happiness available through looking to the mind. The direct recognition of light and love is in the non-conceptual, non-mental apprehension of awareness. Thoughts form no barrier to this. Thoughts cannot be there without awareness, can they? So awareness is here. It is also presence, openness, and love. Just turn to that. It is right there, always in you. Questioner, there is a real desire here for it to settle down. John, this will hang you up. It's a concept and puts the mind in conflict with itself. It's a sign that we are still looking to the mind for what is real. We put that expectation on the mind, and it cannot deliver. What does love have to do with the mind? Let the mind be. It can be there or do anything. That is not a problem. Keep looking at that which is present and clear, not back at the mind. Do not renounce it, the mind. Don't judge it or do anything with it. It's just a few passing clouds floating across a clear blue sky. What is seeing them? Who are you in relation to those thoughts? Questioner, Is that openness something that will eventually occur? John, no, because it's already present. We are just overlooking it. See if you can find the already present spaciousness in you. Questioner, I suppose that is just another pointer, and I do not need to expect any further developments? John, drop the expectation of anything special happening in the future. This will keep you on the wheel. Your true nature is always in the present. Questioner, I know what I am, but there's still a lot of wanting things to be a certain way. I think I still have some sense of being an individual. Do you have any suggestions for clearing this up? I think I've been over it in every which way. John, it is just some residual habits. They will take care of themselves as you settle in with the recognition of your true nature. There may still be a few concepts floating around like old cobwebs, just some subtle beliefs in the future, some residual tendency to look to the mind for a state that you do not have. You will eventually come to see those are false concepts, and then they will not trouble you any longer. I want to continue with something else that I think follows this. The questioner. You replied to a questioner that if they had been around all this for more than a few months and still were not getting it, that they were overlooking something and should enter dialogue. Well, I have tried dialogue and it has not worked. There still seems to be a solid, independent, separate self here. John, well, keep it simple. What do you suppose is the solid, independent self? If there is one, you should be able to find it. What have you come up with? Questioner, I cannot look to see if there really is one, because it seems like it is the separate self who's doing the looking. John, no, not at all. That is just an assumption. It is just a natural looking. Do not block yourself by being too sophisticated with all this. This is the mind hijacking the investigation and fishing for delaying tactics. Questionable other thoughts can be seen as just thought, but not the I thought. Other thoughts can be seen as just thoughts, but not the I thought. John, the I thought is just another thought. But who is aware of the thought I? Questioner, when I am told to investigate the I and see if there is one, I do not know how an I can investigate itself. John, again, do not get too mental. It is not an I that is looking. It is you who are looking. Just go ahead and look and see if there is tangible, conceivable thing present that you can sense, observe, or know that you are willing to call yourself. Are you a thought? Are you an emotion? A sensation? What particular thing are you? Questioner, yes, awareness is present, but it seems to be a separate I who is aware. John, this is the crucial misunderstanding to differentiate yourself from awareness. You are awareness itself. Is that a separate entity, an individual? Everything, including the world, arises and sets in the one awareness that you are. That is not a limited individual at all. It is completely devoid of any individual at all. That is what you truly are. To imagine yourself as some independent, isolated entity apart from awareness is the crucial error. Looking for that separate self, you cannot find it at all. And your identity returns to that natural, effortless awareness that you are and always have been. Questioner, well, thank you for your reply. I have had several phone conversations with a particular teacher about all this, and he emphasized that it is seeking for our true nature that is stopping us being able to be simply present. John, well, everyone has a different way of talking about things. You do not need to seek for your true nature because it is what you are. Just notice what is being pointed to. The simple fact of present being awareness. It is so clear and present that we overlook it. In the end, you give up all the pointers. You are what you are. It takes no pointers to be. Well, the questioner says, the assumption that there is somebody here seems to be set in stone. John, it's just an idea. All there is simple, undeniable presence awareness. There may be a few thoughts, emotions, or sensations passing through, never anything else. There is absolutely nothing substantial in the picture at all. If you think there is a person there, then try to point out exactly what and where that is. Questioner, I told you in an email about a year ago that I had looked within when I was very young and seen for a moment that there was nobody here but awareness. So I know that what you're saying is true. John, there's no need to go to the past. It's clear and present now. Questioner, to look now seems to be the hardest thing. As you say, I'm making it mental. John, just let the simple pointers strike home. Questioner, are there other ways than looking to see if there is anyone for awareness to recognize itself and to stop taking itself to be the character? John, just see it is only thoughts arising and setting in the clear, boundless, and bright awareness that you are. It is that simple, and it can be done right now. There is nothing to get or to understand, really. Just see the simplicity of what is here. Drop the idea that there's some great attainment. What is being pointed to as what you are is plain, old, everyday awareness. It is what is looking out of your eyes right now. So,
Could you go back to what you
yeah,
just read?
yeah, yeah, yes, which,
Turn the page. Read this one.
you are awareness itself. Is that a separate entity, an individual? Everything, including the world, arises and sets in the one awareness that you are. That is not a limited individual at all. It is completely devoid of any individual at all. That is what you truly are. To imagine yourself as some independent, isolated entity apart from awareness is the crucial error. Looking for that separate self, you cannot find it at all, and your identity returns to that natural, effortless awareness that you are and always have been.
At one point, he asked the question, he ended with, so who are you? It was before that. And I was surprised he didn't say, what are you? Instead of who, because who reinforces the idea that there's a who, a person there, a me.
Mm. Mm. Um, so I think what's important here is is his pointing back to that in us which never changes. You know, what is it in us that never changes? Everything changes, right? Everything changes. The body changes, the thoughts change, sensations change, memories change. But what is it that never changes? And that is a witness of everything that's changing. So, what he's saying, it's the pure awareness that you are. And that awareness is not a thought. Why? Because thoughts change. Awareness does not change. It's rock solid. It's always there. As he said, you couldn't even know your thoughts without awareness. It's because of awareness that you're aware of your thoughts. It's because of awareness that you're aware of everything and anything. And he's saying, everything, the world, everything appears, arises, and sets in that awareness. And it's not even personal.
It's interesting, so yes, he constantly points us back to the awareness prior to anything else. And as I sit here now and look across the dining room table into the living room, look around, everything that I see is saturated with my personal identity that I associated with it. I look around the chairs that I got, the furniture I intend to clean tomorrow, the the project that sits waiting for my attention, the picture that reminds me of this or that. Everything is like saturated with a reference back to a me,
Yes,
right?
yes,
But then you could sit here as if one had amnesia, sit here as if this wasn't my home, and then you look as like a blank camera would record it all with no association or reference back to an individual me.
Well, but when you say amnesia,
Well,
that,
I
that's
mean a disassociate,
a
a
disassociation.
disassociation, right? Not amnesia, but
Yeah.
yeah, a totally a non-objectified view, a view that has no personal me associated to it.
Well, where there's no,
It would be like my eyes looking out here and having a personal association with everything I see. And then if in place of my eyes, you put a mirror and the mirror would just reflect back and have no association because it's just reflecting back what's there with no connection to it.
well, but that makes it sound like you don't know what you're seeing.
No, no,
Because,
I know what I'm seeing. I recognize, I know what a lamp looks like. I know what a chair looks like, but it's not my lamp any longer.
uh,
Well, I kind of think that what's important in this discussion, perhaps if you accept that understanding is a tool that Wheeler uses and others use to find out what's going on, and that is how is thought put together? What is thought? Because this is the thing, it's thought that's blocking you from seeing what is.
well, but this is why this is so interesting, because he's saying, no, there's thought could not even appear if there was not awareness. So he's saying, you switch the perspective. Thoughts are not blocking awareness. Awareness is. So the idea is that we identify with thoughts rather than with what is solid in us, which is awareness. You could never know a thought if there was not awareness. What is this awareness? That's what the question has to be. Is this me? Is my thought me? Or is what I truly am, that which never changes, that which has always been? This, let me just, his line, continue to notice the fact of being or presence awareness, whatever you want to call it. Thoughts come and go, but you remain clear, present, and solid as a rock.
Yeah, but to get there, you have to have some kind of an understanding of how this thing works, how the brain works, and I
No,
mean,
Oh,
I don't want
well,
to understand it. I don't want to
okay,
understand how the
all
brain
right,
works.
all right,
I
but you're
just
talking.
want to be able to see that there's an identification with a me that is made up of thought, of memory, of experiences, and I'm taking it to be real, and I'm taking it to be separate from the basic awareness that I am, because there's not even a knowing of a me without awareness. You see, it's important, yes, if you want to go into what is thought, how does the brain work? But in this reading, he's saying, you know what? Let's shelve that for now and let's look at our reality. We know we are present and aware. Nobody can deny that, right? You know you're aware and you know you're present. Look into that. What is that? Is
But
it
it's
something that just happened, or is
but but
something that's always been there?
but he accounts for that somewhere in what you were reading, and that is that we don't know how to use that. I mean, it's there, of course, present awareness is always there, but we've not been brought up. We don't know to use that. It's like, talking about a desert when you live in Alaska and all you know is snow. There's no way of relating to it. So all I'm saying is that uh, it seems to me that for a person who's struggling to get an understanding of what Wheeler is saying, I think you have to acknowledge the fact that there was a time when you were born when you had no references. You were in the present.
Yes, that's true.
And but then it's your environment that conditions you to to recognize you go, and that's me, and I at some point respond to it. So it's just an acknowledgement of maybe that's a stepping stone to be able to be more effectively influenced by what Wheeler is saying.
Okay. So then I think the question is it really a stepping stone or is that taking me away from the present? I don't
Until
want
you get
anything
to the
taking
point where
me
you
away
can,
from the present.
well, until you can get to the point where you understand that there is a stepping stone, and then you can forget about it. Once you acknowledge that was just a help. It's like, in a sense, a trainer. You want to learn how to swim. Well, you don't know. You jump in the water and you go slashing around, and somebody comes along, holds your belly up, and more or less keeps you up above the water and gives you an idea of how this thing works. And then all of a sudden, at some point, you do it. But you needed somebody to help you a little bit.
Well, that's,
Okay.
yeah,
Not everybody,
that's
but
what
most people.
explains
So listen,
that.
so yeah, I can see that yes, my awareness has been conditioned. Uh, uh, my
By your
awareness,
mind.
the mind has conditioned me to have a personal identity and to identify with the body mind. I see that that has been my conditioning. Now he's saying, look in a different direction, away from that conditioning. And what you'll discover is that everything that you've been conditioned to believe, everything that a thought holds and conceptual reality holds, could not be possible unless there was a fundamental awareness in which it arises and passes.
That's right.
And he points you now back in that direction.
Right.
So, as
Yeah,
I said before,
Yes.
I can sit here and look out with eyes that are conditioned heavily with a sense of personal identification, or I can sit here and look out with eyes that are free from that identification, and it's a different qualitative experience. It's like looking with eyes that are fresh and clean rather than eyes that are saturated with a personal me.
you're looking through eyes. You're not looking through the eyes of thought.
That's
Right,
right.
right.
That's right.
You certainly
Well,
can.
that's what I'm getting at. And
That's
Okay.
right.
if you
And
can get to that point, then you can start to get, because I don't know how other people's experiences are, but I get flashes of this stuff. But I can't, I've never been able to go for more than, I don't know, an hour or two, possibly at the greatest, being present to being only present to presence, being
Yes,
only present to the now, being in the moment. And
yes,
the
yes,
longer periods have come when I've been absorbed with whatever the hell I was doing, mostly was in my shop for something or another. And there's no concept of time. It,
right,
it, you at some point you're immersed into something and then you're not. And it could be 10 minutes or it could be 10 hours. No longer now, more like 10 minutes, but now at my age. But so that's where I see myself, you know,
but
helping me to give up the whole notion what he mentions about seeking,
mm,
looking for, because for the longest time with this Buddhist stuff and all the writing and God damn all this bullshit, you know, uh, I went for years trying to figure out, well, I got to do this, I got to sit on a cushion, and I got about, and it's not about that. It's just about what we're talking about. Seeing that the seeing that you've been doing and that's gotten you in trouble is a seeing through the eye and through the me.
Right.
And as long as you experience life that way, you're not seeing what is because of your conditioning.
Right.
That's true.
I guess that's the best way
That
I
is
can
true.
tear it apart.
Chris, did you have any reaction to what you heard?
I mean, I find it all pretty interesting. But I mean, I tend to go down the more I guess esoteric or like good and evil, like kind of philosophies, like some like stuff like that, rather than I understand that I think therefore I am, and I understand a lot of these practical, that there's no distinctions between, like, well, all distinctions are kind of illusory and stuff, but I I'm all right. But some stuff I can kind of like, I'd rather go down things that might be a little bit more practical to go for, to deal with daily life, like if you're not having anything, you know, um, I mean, like the world needs, I would need distinctions between things that are here and there, more scientific philosophies. I mean, I don't know, it's a lot to take in.
Well,
Yeah.
on a very practical basis,
Yeah.
because if this is esoteric and up there someplace or floating in the sky, then what of use is it? It's only useful if we're able to see for ourselves whether there's any truth in this. In other words, as I go through my daily life, how much of my actions are coming from a me, which is the past, which, as Ugo said, is my conditioning, my likes, my dislikes, my fears, my hopes, my dreams. How much
My
of my
everything.
actions are coming from that? And how much of the actions are coming from clear seeing, from clarity, from compassion? And quoting Krishnamurti, by the way, he said, it is only when there's clarity and compassion that there can be skill in action. So that means that that action is free of a me. There's clarity. The situation is telling us what's needed and what to do. There isn't a need to bring this me into it with its fears and desires and hopes and dreams. A clear seeing. But however, that clear seeing is not void of compassion. In fact, when there is clear seeing, I think clear seeing and compassion are one coin. And then there's right action. And then I think that's true inner freedom.
Maybe
So it's
to,
practical. I think it's
to
very practical.
maybe in addition to compassion is also acceptance. You know, compassion to me can be not as easily understood as just accepting something as it is, instead of trying to make it what it's not, just seeing what's there and accepting it. Of course, you got to be able to see without the eye
That's right.
what's there.
Well, see, that's kind of like what kind of gets me, right? So if like we're all, let's say, all one, right? All reality is one, right? There's no me, there's no I, right? How do you I mean, there has to be something that would like perceive that or like able to talk about that separate from that to explain it. See what I'm saying? That it kind of doesn't make sense to be it without having something to talk about it or explain it or be it. You understand where I kind of mean that it has to differentiate itself,
Uh-huh.
doesn't it? To be it
Oh, so
or
what?
that
So
something
you,
has to say that
Yeah, yeah.
and not be it, right? At some point, no?
so are you saying that you need a me to even explain what this is about?
Yeah, there has
That,
to be an it to explain that. No?
okay. So what? All right. So there's language that explains it,
Right.
right? There's language. The thing is,
But then does language become it itself? Right?
well, the
Or
language
is
is
language part of it?
the
Or my
language
semantics? Sorry.
the language is expressing the what is, but why do I need? Why do I? So the language is the instrument through which I communicate. But am I able to communicate free of this me?
All right. So right now I'm not of it. Right. I'm me. Well, I think I'm me, or I'm believing it, and that's incorrectly separating myself from it all. Right. And I'm trying to get back there. Right. I mean, I'm trying to become part of it again.
No, but
No?
no, but you couldn't
Well, I
even.
am it, but I just think I'm not it. Right.
Well, how could you even be talking about anything if you were not aware of what you were saying?
Right.
So there has to be
Right?
awareness,
Me. Yeah, me.
right? There has to be an awareness there for you to
Yes,
express
I got
anything.
that. I have it. I'm definitely aware that I am me. I am here.
So wait, so you're an expression of that awareness, but you're not separate from it.
Even though I think I might be, or I am incorrectly assuming that I am.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. We all do that. We think we're separate entities.
But how does now that entity that's there explain
How?
itself if it has no one to explain itself to? Right? Because it's all one awareness. Like how can it be one? How can it articulate itself to something if there's no other thing to articulate itself to? Do you kind of feel? I mean, it seems like there has to be something for it to be it.
Yeah.
Like it kind of the
He's
idea of itself is differentiate itself from something it's not. Right. So there has to be something it's not to be there. I don't know. Maybe.
no,
Ne-
it's like
Like,
Chris, I think Chris is saying it's like don't you in the expression of awareness, don't you fall back into a duality? Because
Yeah.
right? Well, what's commenting about it? What's expressing it? What's
no, no.
saying it?
Yes, but you see, it's the identification that we're talking about. We're talking about identifying as this separate me. And
Right.
we're saying that that's a false identification because that changes. And we said reality is that which never changes, right? We said that which never changes is what's actually real. Everything else keeps changing.
Wait a minute. And Chris is saying, what is it that recognizes that that awareness never changes? Right, Chris?
Yeah, like to recognize that change, it kind of makes a weird,
No, no,
strange
no.
paradox to
What?
me.
Well, once there's a seeing that I cannot be that which I can see. So I can't be these thoughts. I can't even be this body because that's what is being seen. So what is witnessing all this? What's witnessing all this is not in time. Everything is taking place in time. Awareness is timeless. It's of a different order, but it always is because it's only the timeless that can reflect time. It's only that which never changes that can point to that which is changing. So it's awareness that's pointing to a fact that this is what I am. This is my true nature, not the identification with this me, with this thought, with this image that we carry of ourselves. These are images, and we take them to be real, and we take them to be separate from that which is aware.
But I have a feeling that Chris might say at this point, but what is it that recognizes everything you just said?
It's not a thing that recognizes, it's not an object that recognizes it. Awareness is not an object. It is. And when there's a seeing of that which is false, then the truth is there. Oh, I think somebody has, I'm hearing.
Yeah, radio or something.
Yes, somebody has to mute something. Anyway.
I mean,
Let me see. I'm sorry, Chris.
Yeah, then we get
I just want to see if I can mute this.
As evidentiary points in the broader body of the intelligence community assessment. It was in the annex so that it could be briefed to the president-elect and others in the most highly classified version to, I guess, to make people aware of this compilation of rumors of low quality.
Wait. All right, I think we got it. We got it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's just it's tough to it's not it honestly to me it just seems like, all right, in order for it to all of us to exist, we're all one. Okay, even that statement is all consciousness, we're all part of the same everything, right? In order to do that, it just seems like to me that it has to be separate from something. It can't encompass everything. You know, like how do you differentiate without differentiate? How do you have something without have something for it to be in?
Well,
right? And if you're in it, right, then what is that you're in?
But you see, there are many shapes and forms, right? There are countless billions of shapes and forms. But that doesn't take away from a fact that they all appear in awareness. So you can differentiate different shapes and forms, but you would not be able to do that without awareness. You must be aware. There must be awareness for there to be differentiation. We're not saying there isn't differentiation, but we're saying that there must be awareness that that's what the foundation is. And you are that awareness.
Yeah, I'm good with I'm good with the awareness. Definitely. I'm confident and I'm here and I'm thinking and no problem, right? Me, I went down the kind of road of why, like in that, early in my philosophical journey, right? Like, okay, I'm here, I think, therefore I am, got it. Okay, now what? Right now, what do I do with this? Like, okay,
wait, Chris.
I am, therefore I think.
It's the other way around. It's I am, therefore I think.
Therefore I think, yeah.
That's the difference here.
Right. I mean, two completely separate roads, right?
Right.
Like, so yeah, I went down the other road, right? And so that's where I'm kind of bringing a lot of this up, I guess, whereas that, it's, I think therefore I'm okay. Why, who brought me here? What brought me here? What brought that there? Stuff like that. And then, this comes up and it's just like, none of that's important. Yeah. You shouldn't even care about that stuff, really, like, and, I was reading a kind of an article, right? Some guy was writing a story about his philosophical thoughts, and he's like, yeah, it's like being on an airplane, and the guy's like, yeah, just jump, don't worry about it, nothing's gonna happen to you. And then you're like, like, ah, I don't want to jump, I might jump, hit the ground, I'm gonna die. You're like, nah, no problem, let's jump out the plane, right? So he jumps out the plane, he's flying, and then he's like, wow, maybe this, it's not so bad, it's kind of good, and then he's looking back at the airplane, and then he realized, I was never in an airplane, and I'm actually a bird. And then like it doesn't matter, I'm gonna fly around anyway. So everything he thought was completely wrong. He's not even what he thought he was, and what he was doing isn't even close to what reality really was anyway. So, right. So my idea was that, I've gone down this road of philosophy, and then all of a sudden that all these things that kind of bank on the idea of being separate from everything, it doesn't really matter. And so then why would let's say the universe or reality point certain people in that direction as like one big red herring? And you can have like maybe your whole entire life not realizing that, well, this was all just kind of a waste of time anyway, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look,
Yeah.
if we really just try to keep it simple
Yeah.
as much as we can, then what is day-to-day reality for most of us? For most of us, day-to-day reality, no matter what work we do or what our responsibilities are, our day-to-day reality is that we go through the day with thoughts that are centered around a me. And those thoughts are what motivate us. Those thoughts are what frighten us. Those thoughts are what could bring us momentarily happiness or pleasure. But that's how most of our lives operate. We go through this I, me centered being. And what we also know, though, is that all of us have a feeling that we are, that we exist. So now we can ask ourselves, well, who am I really? What am I really? Because I do suffer, I do worry, I do have fears, I do have unmet desires, I do have moments of pleasure, but what am I really? What is this life really all about? And when you start asking those questions, you begin to see that what your life is about seems to be centered around this me. And so when you pick up a book, like let's say John Wheeler's book, and he says to you, wait a minute, you know you exist. You know you're aware. Well, can you know anything? Even all your fears and all your desires and all your worries, can you know any of that if there was not awareness? What you are awareness. I want to tell you the first time I ever heard that was pointed out was in a talk that we went to with Krishnamurti, and he pointed that out. And personally speaking, that was a life changer. So I think what John is pointing to in this book can be a life changer. Once we're aware that what we fundamentally are is awareness, pure, non-conceptual awareness. And with that awareness, we are able to have clarity, compassion, and right action. Why? because it's free of a me. So what do? The best that we can do is see where this me appears, see the falseness of it, see that it's made of insubstantial thoughts and feelings and fears. But awareness is always shining a light on that. So the identity switches from identifying with this me to an identification with pure awareness. That's it. And see where that takes us. And be aware also of all the mind junk that keeps going on with all the questions and all the, no. Stay in the now, stay in the here, stay in the awareness as best we can. As best we can. As Ugo, you said, when you're involved in your work, when you're planting or working or composing or writing, you're fully present. And then the me comes in with its doubts, with its fears, with its questions, with its opinions and conclusions, with its hate. That's the me. Always the background. Awareness is shining a light on that. The seeing is the doing. Then the plug gets pulled. You can't eat your soup if somebody spits in it. As soon as that light shines on that me, and it's crazy actions, a plug is pulled, and you're in the here, in the now, aware, with clarity.
I was just thinking, so suppose you have a power cord with a lot of appliances plugged into it, and the one appliance you're most interested in is a lamp, and that lamp represents the brightness of your being, the true nature, the true brightness of your natural being. And every time you unplug one of those other appliances, your brightness of your being gets a little brighter, a little brighter, a little brighter. And I think that's what Wheeler is trying to show us, that we can, there's a brightness to our being that's available to us right here and now that we overlook because we're looking at so many other, we've been conditioned to look in so many other ways, at so many other things. But if we come back in the present moment and just focus on the brightness of our being that makes all those other things possible, there's a peace in that, there's a joy in that, there's a happiness in that, that is a qualitatively different from the other kinds of pleasures and the deficits too. Reminds me of the saying, in the evolution of this journey we're all on, first you have to find yourself. But once you find yourself, the next step is to lose yourself. He's saying, let's try to lose the self that has been so identified with all the things around us and come back to our true nature, our true being, your true self. Anyway, thank you, Evelyn. That was a nice reading. It's always nice to remember John Wheeler
Yes.
and the
Yep.
simplicity of
Is
his.
he still around? Has anybody found him or what?
No,
Is
I
he still
wish
in
I knew
Saltillo?
where John is. He was here with us in East Hampton, but that must be many years now. And we lost track of him.
Well, we didn't lose
No.
track of him. He chooses not to be,
I
he
guess,
chooses
yeah,
not
but
to be
but I
found.
don't know where he is. I don't know. But he has,
Yeah.
he left his work, which
Yeah.
is wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you all for
Yeah.
coming and joining.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you
Thank you.
very
Thank
much
you.
for all the help and
Thank you.
contributions.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks,
Ciao.
everyone.
Ciao tutti, buonanotte, eh?
Buonanotte.
Buonanotte.
Buonanotte. Ciao. Thank you.
Take
Thank you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I can't find, here we go.